Hi to my group insurance clients. I realized recently that I put a video like this out to my individual clients explaining what we expect to happen insurance-wise in 2024, and I never really told anything to my group clients. So sending this out to HR people and office managers and owners and CEOs or whatever of my group insurance clients, just to let you know what we expect to see in 2024 as you put together your budget with your renewal. And I realize I've got a couple of my clients are renewing February 1st, and I've already kind of had this conversation, and a bunch of my clients renew in November and December, so this is early. But here's what we're seeing in 2024. And we're on average, our insurance increase is expected to be 12.5% in California. And that's a very similar number in a lot of other states. And it's the first time we've had a double-digit rate increase in 12 years. Just pre the Affordable Care Act 12 years ago, California had 7 consecutive years of 10% or more rate increases. We haven't had one since the first year of the Affordable Care Act 12 years ago. And this increase is due in large part to two things. First of all, just overall inflation. And I think built in with inflation, there's a little bit of a corporate because we can type of fee increase. Hey, rates are going up everywhere, so we're going to increase our rates as well. But there's some of that. I think, to satisfy my friends on the left, and something I tend to agree with, there's a lot of corporate greed going on. You're getting all these companies, including insurance companies, giving their CEOs huge paychecks and huge bonuses, and they're reporting quarterly earnings and annual earnings and shareholder meetings and saying, best quarter, best year ever, and at the same time they've raised their rates 15% and their profits are up 13% or vice versa. And so there's definitely some of that where it's just like, yay, everyone's raising their rates, I think we're going to raise our rates too. That's part of it. But what we're actually seeing, I think the biggest driver of this cost increase this year is an echo effect, a rebound from COVID. 2023 saw the largest number of diagnoses in the United States, and my understanding is that this is happening worldwide, of stage 2 and even stage 3 cancer of all types. Huge numbers of diagnoses of diabetes and hypertension. And the whole reason for that is people weren't going to the doctor in 2020 and 2021. You weren't going for a normal checkup. You stayed the hell away from hospitals and your doctor's offices unless you had COVID. And nobody wanted to go into an office and have someone cough on them and catch the pandemic, right? So what we got were a bunch of people who in 2020, if they had had a checkup and had blood work done, the doctor would have come back and said, hey, your blood sugar levels, this is pre-diabetic. We need to do some work with your diet and some exercise, and maybe we can control this before it gets to full-blown diabetes. That didn't happen. And so here we are 3 years later with all of this rebound effect, all of these people who would have been diagnosed with something easily treatable or preventable in 2020 and 2021 now have diabetes, now have hypertension. The cancer that could have been caught at stage 1 3 years ago has now finally been diagnosed, and it's stage 2 or stage 3. And so as a result, 2023 saw one of the highest medical usage years in history. Oh, and add to that, this didn't happen to a lot of people, but it happened to enough. Long COVID. I've got 2 friends who are suffering horribly from COVID they had 3 years ago, and it's just kicked their butt, and they're in and out of the doctor's office all the time. And there's, a couple 100,000 people out there going through that kind of thing. So there's heavier utilization of medical insurance than we have seen in decades. And that is a huge driver for what we're seeing in the form of insurance premiums. So sorry to give you so much background. I just don't want to hit you with a, hey, you've got a 13% rate increase, later this year without you knowing about it. And again, with any average, I just renewed a group that had a 14.5% rate increase for their plans. I've renewed another group that had a 9%. So we're averaging 12.5%. Different carriers are different regions are different. We're seeing the HMOs go up more than the PPOs, et cetera. So, your group may not be exactly at that number, But when you're thinking about what it's going to look like at your renewal, don't be surprised if that number is somewhere from 10 to 14%. So that's what we're looking at this year. Obviously, when your renewal comes up, I will be in touch with you specifically about your plans and your options. Call me as always if you have any questions between now and then. Hope you're doing well. Take care.